Call meeting to order of the Brownsville Independent School District's Board of Trustees regular board meeting scheduled for today, April 18, 2006 at 5:30 at the Administration Building. Move on to moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance. Would everyone please rise? On to item 4, roll call. Norma, everybody's present. Move on to item 5, recommend approving the agenda of the regular board meeting of April 18, 2006 with any corrections. Dr. Swalkowski.
Mr. President, administration recommends to change the order of the day and move the first item under public audience in front under item 7, Superintendent's Report. Porter High School Soccer State Champions will be recognized at the City Commissioners meeting tonight, so we'd like to go ahead and get them first.
Okay. Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
Is there a second? Motion and second to approve. All signify by raising hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Move on to 6. Recommend approving the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 4th, 2006 with any corrections. Any corrections? Mr. Munoz? Okay. And is there a motion to approve? There's a motion to approve. A second? There's a motion and a second to approve the meeting of, or the board minutes of the April 4th meeting of 2006. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Munoz, thank you for chairing the last meeting. And I was thinking about swapping again because it went so fast.
That's one way to keep me quiet.
Yes, sir.
He did a good job. Let's recognize that he did a good job.
Move on to item 7, Superintendent's Report. A, conference presentation. 1, recognition of the Porter High School, or you want to do this first?
Yes.
I'm sorry. We are going to move on to our next item, audience present or public audience presentation. The next item or agenda is the public comment period. This is time for citizen, staff, or students to provide their comments to the board. Statements and questions from the audience will not be permitted during other portions of the meeting, so please let us hear from you now if you have comments to present. To have your comments heard tonight, your name and subject matter of your comments must appear on the sign-in sheet, which is located in the rear of the meeting room. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes to complete his or her comments. With all due courtesy, I will strictly enforce that time limit. If a group of people want to be heard on the same topic, the board asks that they designate a spokesperson to avoid needless repetition. The board has adopted rules to preclude the abuse of open forum by, for example, anyone uselessly repeating the same comment or complaint meeting after meeting. All participants must understand that if your comment, in my judgment, constitutes a complaint against an employee or officer, I will interrupt and ask you to stop and direct you to proceed with the BISD formal grievance procedures, be that DGBA, FNG, or GF local of our local policy. With those cautions in mind, we will now be glad to hear the general comments. We'll go
Item number 1.
item number 1, Alonso Barbosa, soccer state championship title. Let's give him a good hand.
Thank you, Mr. President, Dr. Zolkowski, members of the board, area superintendents, and invited guests and dignitaries in the audience. We want to thank you, first of all, for having us here this evening. It's an honor to be here before you and present to you the state champion 5A soccer team. We'll start with number 0, Eric Chapa. He was also all-tournament player. He's a juniors goalkeeper, Eric Chapa. Number one, Edgar Sanchez, a senior goalkeeper. Number 2, Aldo Sierra, senior defender. Number 3, Juan Razo, senior forward. Number 4, Jose Alvarado, junior midfielder. Number 5, Peter Ruiz, sophomore defender. Number 6, Victor Vela, junior defender. Number 7, Christian Sierra, junior defender. Number 8, Wilfredo Fernandez, junior forward. Number 9, Edgar Acuña, sophomore midfielder. Number 10, senior forward, and also the MVP of the entire tournament, Jorge Briones. Number 11, Giovanni Briones, sophomore midfielder. Number 12, Alex Lara, sophomore midfielder. Number 13, Humberto Lopez, freshman forward. Number 14, Gerardo Herrera, sophomore midfielder. Number 15, Mario Perez, freshman midfielder. He is also all-tournament player. Mario will be leaving us Friday. He's going to play for the Olympic team in Spain for an entire week. Mario Perez. Number 16, Gerardo Martinez, freshman midfielder. Number 17, Diego Rodriguez, senior midfielder, also all-tournament player. Number 18, Michael Cedillo, freshman defender, also all-tournament player. Number 19, Angel Cardenas, senior forward. His brother couldn't be here, his identical twin brother, Absa Cardenas, also. Number 20, Jesus Sanchez, freshman defender. Number 22, Jose Mujica, senior midfielder. Number 25, Juan Sosa, sophomore midfielder. Number 26, Abel Perez, junior goalkeeper. Number 28, Jorge Gandera, senior forward. Here we go. Manager, Asiel Garcia. Manager, Emmanuel Ponce. Manager, Abraham Garcia. Assistant coaches, Arturo E. Puig Jr. Assistant coach, Ingeniero Pedro Valdez. Assistant coach, Miguel Marroquin, math teacher also. Our athletic director and coordinator for the campus, James Kaiser. Our athletic director, Joe Rodriguez. And the man of the hour, Jose Luis Zarate, University of Houston graduate, and also the senior coach, showcase coach. He will be the coach for the senior all-star game at the state level. Pepe Zarate. We have some gifts, ladies and gentlemen of the board. We have some gifts on behalf of the boys. The championship shirts, you'll be receiving them. Dr. Zolkowski, we have a very special gift for you. Jorge Briones.
All right. Way to go.
You want to show that, Jorge, por favor? Enséñaselo a la cámara.
I thought you guys were giants.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations, guys.
Congratulations.
Excellent. I'm very proud of you guys.
Stay champs. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm very proud of you. Thank you. Stay champs.
How come you get two there?
Proud of you. Really are.
Here's your dad.
Yeah, he's very happy.
Hey, okay, but you want to take a picture of the whole team? Okay.
Really proud of you.
Let's go down there and take a
Yeah,
picture.
that's good. That's good.
Dr. Zolkowski, if we could have you front and center.
What about those Cowboys, sir?
Dr. Z, on behalf of the Porter Nation cluster, we've got a very special presentation for you. Jorge, por favor. Jorge, would you come over and place that on Dr. Zolkowski? That is the medal that was awarded to all the boys. UIL first place, 5A soccer champions.
Everybody over there? Guys, sit down on the floor.
One knee, maybe.
Probably got one player.
Yeah, roll it. Yeah, right. We'll make that mistake. If I down there, it's gonna say we have overage students at Porter.
Gotta get mine, man, back.
I know.
Still didn't know who the hell did I give it?
On right here. What's a birdie?
Not that I want to be in the picture.
Thank you.
Somebody stole my chain. My gold medal.
UIL. They only come for once.
Good thing you came.
Yeah.
Organizas bien.
I don't call that much.
Congratulations to the Porter Nation, and a job very well done in first place. Dr. Solkowski, you want to invite everyone on Sunday?
Yes, we have a presentation for the Cowboys, Porter Cowboys State 5A champions. We're going to have a celebration out at Sam Stadium at 7 p.m. on Sunday. Get there early. We'll have a lot of media and a lot of people there, but we're really excited about this 5A championship for the Porter Cowboys. So please invite your friends for Sunday at 7 p.m. Sam Stadium.
Thank you very much. We now move on to item 2. Dr. Reynaldo Garcia, concerns? Go ahead, Doctor.
Mr. President, board members, Dr. Solkowski,
My name is Dr. Reynaldo Garcia, and I come here as a concerned citizen, a taxpayer, and a sympathizer of students and teachers. And first, I want to give my congratulations to the Porter soccer team, the coaches, and their parents for bringing home the title of the state championship. I'm here this evening in response to the headlines in the Brownsville Herald of April the 2nd, titled "Teachers Brace for Extra Work," about adding an extra instructional period for court teachers. I became deeply concerned by the wrong message that the negative attitude expressed in the media by a couple of teachers sends out to the students, to the rest of the teachers, and to the taxpayer. One of the teachers interviewed informed me that 90% of the court teachers support them. I hope that percentage is not that high. And I want to make this very clear. I do not come here to denounce these teachers, but to try to effect a basic change in attitude, if you will. I do not blame the teachers for trying to protect the status quo. However, we all understand, especially the school board, that when making decisions, the kids come first, then the teachers, and then the taxpayer, in that particular order. It is the children, after all, that give the teachers their jobs, and it is the taxpayer that pays their salary. And the taxpayer demands the best education for the kids. I strongly feel that this issue should have been handled internally through the proper channels, instead of airing it in a public forum to garner support. The remarks made were very defiant, they were confrontational, and above all, very unbecoming a professional teacher. It was too early, in my opinion, to react with such animosity to this notion, simply because it was only something that was being considered and not something that was being implemented. Better results can always be achieved by a more diplomatic approach. If adding an extra period of instruction is in the best interest of the students, I believe the teachers should concur. It is their duty. This initiative should not be challenged by the very people we hire and pay to educate our children. I found it very hard to believe that some teachers would put their best interest over that of the kids. If that's the way they feel about that, then it is a very, very disturbing revelation, and I feel sad for the kids. Nobody said the teaching was easy. It takes a lot of dedication and commitment to excellence. I admire the teaching professional because it is an honorable and prestigious one. But I think that basic attitudes need to change if we're going to succeed academically. Unfortunately, this resistance comes at the worst possible time, and that is when the administration and the board are trying to pass a $135 million bond proposal to provide these teachers with a better and more comfortable teaching environment. One of the teachers was quoted as saying, "If the superintendent does this, he is going to shoot himself in the foot." End of quote. I believe the opposite is true, because this could have a very negative impact on the bond proposal. In closing, I just want to appeal to these court teachers to please seriously reconsider their position, and to please think of the kids first. I want to thank Mr. Lehman, the board, Dr. Sokolsky for listening.
Thank you, Doctor. Next person is Alberto Alegría, State Legislators, Cafeteria, and Porter High School.
Good evening, members of the board, President Lehman, Dr. Sokolsky, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alberto Alegría, the proud president of the Association of Brownsville Educators. Tonight, I bring you a short report on our state legislature and public school finance. Yesterday, Comptroller Strayhorn's latest revenue estimate said that Texas lawmakers have approximately $8.2 billion available to spend next year without passing any new or additional state taxes. If Governor Perry's tax plan were adopted, the state would have almost $6 billion in additional funds to buy down property taxes. However, as the special session opened, neither the governor nor the House leader has made any commitment to use any of our tax dollars to provide additional support for the voters' top priority, our children's schools, teachers, and staff. With over $8 billion available before the Perry tax plan is even considered, any school finance plan that leaves our children's schools and their teachers out of the equation doesn't add up. Certainly, we understand the need for meaningful property tax relief and believe everyone should pay their fair share to support our schools. But tax reform or no tax reform, those who turn their backs on our school children this spring will be branded with an F for failure when Texas voters cast their ballots this fall. In March and again last week, voters in both party primaries send a clear message to our state leaders by electing pro-education candidates. Recently, both statewide and district-level polls included a TSDA state poll conducted jointly this year by a nationally respected Republican and Democratic pollsters reflect the results of the recent primaries, showing that 47% of Texans identify public education as the top state priority, 3 times the number, 16%, who chose cutting property taxes. And by 58 to 34% majority, voters also prefer that teacher pay raises be given to all teachers and staff rather than targeting pay raises based on standardized test scores. We know what Texans want. A bipartisan majority have said education funding is as important, if not more important, than cutting property taxes. Yet Governor Perry and Speaker Craddock seem determined to spend every available dollar for a tax swap plan, denying legislatures the opportunity to carry out the wishes of their constituents, which is to fix Texas public school funding issue where it is equitable for all Texas children. Texas ranks dead last among the 10 most populous states in terms of actual average teacher salaries, $6,688, below the national average, and actual per pupil expenditure at $1,446, below the national average. Two key reasons that over 53,000 teachers are assigned to teach at least a portion of each day in classes they have not been certified to teach. Without a meaningful across-the-board teacher and staff pay raises and a 100% commitment to increase funds spent in our children's classrooms, our students will not have the qualified teachers and quality instructional tools they need to succeed. If we can't fix school finance, we must change the players so that we may change the script. The special interests of others, which have no real interest in education, may be raising millions to support a plan that does nothing for our schools, but for the vast majority of Texans, our most special interest is our children. After 3 years, 2 sessions, and 3 special sessions of failure, we expect our legislators to represent us, not the special interests. Locally, it has been brought up to our attention that cafeteria food service managers, supervisors, or their designees are being told to monitor and be accountable for the actions of food service delivery personnel. I strongly feel that the responsibility should not be placed on the food service employees when their job requires so much detail and responsibility to ensure that food is being processed properly and ensure the safety of our children. I would like for administration to look into this matter. And last but not least, I want to congratulate the Porter High School Cowboys, 5A state championship in their boys soccer. I really want to thank the students. They have represented us well. in the state finals. The fans are the very best in Texas, in the state. And of course, the city of Brownsville is very proud of your accomplishment. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Alegría. Move on now to item 7, Superintendent's Report. A, conference presentation. Number 1, recognition of the Porter High School District 5A one-act play area qualifiers. Dr. Solkowski.
We're real excited to have another Porter High School District 5 1A play area qualifiers. Mr. Mel Hemmons is going to help us with this.
Board President Lehman, Dr. Salkowski, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen of the audience. We're going to continue recognizing the achievement of Porter students tonight by now looking at the Varsity One Act Play cast and crew and recognizing their achievements this year as an ensemble acting group and their individual acting honors earned at zone, district, and area One Act Play competitions. Under the direction of Mr. Matt Tom, Porter High School presented the Beggar's Opera this year and was this year's District 32 5A one-act play winner, advancing to area competition for the 7th time. While they did advance as a cast, they also earned individual acting honors. So, earning individual acting honors, first of all, Angel del Molino. In zone contest, honorable mention all-star cast. District, honorable mention all-star cast. Eric Caraveo, zone, honorable mention all-star cast. Daniel Kranick, zone all-star cast. District all-star cast. Area all-star cast. Derek Perez, zone all-star cast. Area honorable mention all-star cast. Lily Guevara, zone all-star cast. District all-star cast. Mariana Garcia, zone all-star cast. Amy Leal, District All-Star Cast. Valerie Hernandez, Zone All-Star Cast, District All-Star Cast. And Emmanuel Lopez, District Honorable Mention All-Star Cast, Area Honorable Mention All-Star Cast, and in the Zone competition, he won the highest acting honor given by being named Best Actor. Fellow cast and crew members who are here with us tonight are Peter Cano, Humberto Ceracero, Noe Flores, Abram Garcia, Briseida Garza, Hannah Paredes, Arabella Rendon, Lavon Salgado, Jose Trevino, and last and certainly not least, their director, Mr. Matt Tom. Congratulations to Porter High School's Varsity One Act Play Director, cast and crew, this year's District 32 5A One Act Play winners.
Excellent job, guys. Excellent. Great. Good job.
There you go.
All right. Good job, huh? Yeah, you're all going to break a leg, right? Good work. I know. See what happens.
Tonight is Porter's night. Congratulations. Congratulations, sir.
Thanks. I got two. Move on to item number 2, recognition of the 2005-2006 City Math winners. Dr. Salkowski.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lehman, Dr. Zolkowski, members of the board. On Wednesday, April 5th, 2006, the Brownsville Independent School District held the annual high school math meet at Lopez High School. The campus administrations and mathematics department completed all of the site arrangements for the competition. For the 9th year, the University of Texas at Brownsville Mathematics Department adopted the meet. Professors from UTB were responsible for preparing, administering, monitoring, and scoring the tests given to the students participants. They also participated in the award ceremony following the meet. The students from each of the 5 BISD high schools competed in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, and Calculus events. Middle school students also competed in the Algebra 1 category. Approximately 300 student mathematicians competed in this year's meet. The students received individual trophies for 1st through 3rd places, medallions for 4th through 6th places, and ribbons for 7th through 10th places. The overall high school, middle school winners were also awarded the UTB TSC President's Cup Traveling Trophy. To begin, I would like to first recognize the following individuals. From UTB, we thank Mary Wagner, Mathematics Faculty Liaison, and all of the UTB TSC Mathematics professors for their support. Also, we thank from Lopez High School, Ms. Maggie Gutierrez, Principal, and Albert Villarreal, Mathematics Department Chairperson, for all their hard work in making this year's meet. Mr. Ben Avalos will also be here presenting the students' honorees.
Good evening. Now, the first place student winners in each category is as follows. Middle School Algebra 1, Marlene Ramirez, Perkins Middle School. High School Algebra 1, Lee Han, Hannah High School. Geometry, Sarah Marroquin, Porter High School. Algebra 2, Erica Alvarez, Hannah High School. In the Calculus, Chris Perez, Hannah High School. And not present this evening is a pre-calculus, Jonathan Lumeng, also Hannah High School. The Middle School UTB TSC President's Traveling Trophy is awarded to Perkins Middle School. Perkins earned this honor by having 5 students placed in the top 10 in the category of Algebra 1 and accumulating combined total of 40 points from a possible of 55 points. Representing Perkins Middle School this evening, we welcome Victor Caballero, Principal, and some of Perkins' young mathematicians. The High School UTB TSC President's Traveling Trophy is awarded to Hannah High School. Hannah's outstanding performance in this year's meet resulted from having 27 out of 50 participants placed in the top 10 and accumulating a combined total of 170 points from a possible 275 points. Representing Hannah High School this evening, we welcome Yolanda Kruger, Principal. Maggie Lucio, Mathematics Department Chairperson, and some members of the Hannah Math team. And of course, without the campus that hosted this event, Lopez High School, we have a certificate of appreciation for hosting this year's math event. Is Maggie Gutierrez here? Okay. In addition, Hannah High School and Perkins Middle School will have the honor of displaying the current UTB TSC President's Traveling Trophy. At this time, we would also like for all principals, teachers, parents, and young mathematicians from all schools to stand and be recognized. Thank you.
Calculus. Congratulations.
Remember last time? No. Remember last time?
Move on to item 3, presentation on summer employment opportunities. Dr. Salkowski.
Mr. Lehman has presented, just like to make a short presentation. We're looking at hiring an additional 80 employees. We did put all the paperwork in there, and we did budget this amount to help us. Last summer, we had a lot of the bus drivers paint, help us catch up. We have a couple of major projects this year, so we're excited to go ahead and let them start applying, and so we can get everybody locked in for summer.
Mr. Munoz, you have comments?
Yes, sir, I do. Thank you. It's an excellent idea that we do this in a good program, but I would like to remind the administration that the hourly rate is not the amount that we consider a living wage, and I would suggest that we increase that $7.50 to a minimum of $8 an hour. I did the math on it, and it only amounts to $7,200 to the district. So I think to stay in line with the district's policy, and it is the district's policy, that we pay no less than $8 an hour, which is considered a living wage here in South Texas. $7.50 is not what we pay, so I would suggest that we modify this to $8.
In our salary book, it was listed as $7.50. We thought about bringing it for $8, but we need an action item to bring it for $8, because in your salary book that you approved, I think it's $7.50. Is that not right? And that's why we ended up with $7.50. We can bring it back as an action item for $8, which is not a problem. We just wanted to try to get these applications going.
Yes, sir, Mr. Aguilar.
I tend to agree with you, Dr. Z, and however, we've been asking for a living wage for a year and a half already. So how long is it going to take for us to catch up? So at the last few minutes, we've always talked about living wage.
Yes.
So again, we're asking, when are we going to bring it up to standards? When the board requests this, right. Why isn't the administration go back and look at the wage book that we have? It's a good program, this summer employment, and also I hope that this time around, the administration remembers that when I came on board, I asked when we start hiring the custodians and all this bus driver for the summer to clean up the adult basic building on Madison Street, all that black do, and somebody here, the president, told me, "Oh, it wouldn't be a problem. We pressure was that we'd be right away." Well, go by now and still the same 2 years later. So we would like to see those. It's a good program, but if we have some plans for it, let's not forget, Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Dr. Salkowski.
Last year, we did move it to an $8. This is a part-time, which stayed at $7.50. All full-time employees made no less than $8. We did do that, if you recall, during our last budget. We did move everyone. This was the part-time that was in the book, which we can bring that back.
But they're employees.
I know, but they're only part-time.
Let me interject real quick. Just on the legal standpoint, are these employees still employed by us, or are they going out of service and reapplying?
No, they're our employees.
Okay, since we receive federal funding, need to get a legal opinion. If they're already established at a rate, it's very difficult to bring them back at another rate.
That's a good question.
Yes, no, I know. I've been an employer, and you need to clear with that. And I know we receive federal funding, so you better be careful that you don't stray that line.
It's local money.
Well, you have to conform with law.
I know, but this is a local.
You need to make sure that we comply with the law.
Okay.
And I just like legal to look at that aspect.
Fine.
I'll look at it, Mr. Lehman. I'll confer with Mr. Sanchez and Mr. Gonzalez and
I think
make
it'd be
sure
very
that
difficult to do so.
we're covering all our bases.
Ms. Galvan?
Concur with Mr. Munoz. I would like to see it to be $8 also. It's living wage and to be brought back if possible.
Ms. Colonna?
I would also agree that it's necessary to bring it up to the $8 for the summer employment. And also I wanted to ask on the summer schedule, how long will that run? Is that 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
We're running 6 weeks on our summer work schedule.
Anybody else?
We'll bring that back.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. Item 4, presentation on the summer work, summer work schedule on the for the main office. Dr. Salkowski.
This is what we normally have had over the past few years. Just wanted to inform the board we have this, even though a lot of us end up leaving late on Friday, but this is a uniform week for our central office.
I didn't see $7.50, Doctor. I didn't see $7.50 an hour.
We can hire you.
Oh, the personnel. Anyway, any comments?
I know what you're saying.
Mr. Munoz?
No, sir. Thank you.
Item 5, presentation on the first annual the Binational Youth Leadership Summit. Dr. Solkowski.
I think I have Miss Mary Lou Esparza. Mrs. Esparza.
Good evening, Mr. Lehman, Board President, Dr. Solkowski, members of the board, administrators, and the general public. The first annual Binational Youth Leadership Summit is a collaborative effort between federal, state, local authorities, and Brownsville ISD. In an unprecedented manner, two countries have come together to make a commitment in the prevention of juvenile crime. These efforts will promote informed decision-making and leadership skills of middle school students and parents in regards to respect for the law and the legal systems that govern both countries. And to provide you with more insight into this tremendous endeavor, I am delighted to present our Mexican consulate, el señor Víctor Manuel Treviño.
Good evening, Mr. Pat Lehman, President of the Board, Superintendent Michael Chalkowski, board members. We are very happy to be here with a Mexican delegation from Matamoros. This will be a success. Thank you for the big effort of the Brownsville Independent School District, particularly Rachel Ayala, and Dr. Hernandez, Rita Hernandez, and her staff, wonderful staff, as the Porter High School Cowboys soccer team. They are the best. Well, we have this binational summit next week, Thursday and Friday. Thursday in Matamoros, Friday in Brownsville. And it's very important for us. This is the rule of law on both sides of the border. And we are working very hard with my counterpart, the U.S. consulate, both city mayors, and as we already mentioned it, we have the three levels, the federal, the state, and the local level. And thank you for the support. It's very important to have the students but not just the students, the parents in this important meeting. Let me introduce with you the Mexican delegation here. We have the Secretary of Public Safety, the Public Safety of Matamoros, Licenciado Rubén González Chapa, please. Por favor. From the Desarrollo Integral de la Familia, Integral Family Development of Matamoros, representing the mayor and the wife of the mayor, Franca Borelli. She will be the master of ceremonies in the Matamoros side. Also, let me introduce Dolores de la Garza. He is in charge of the Police Academy in Matamoros. Mr. Ricardo Aces, he's the head of the emergency of the state of Tamaulipas, the 066. Is the equivalence of the 911 here in the United States. It's the 066. And well, let me just to recognize both of my partners at the Mexican consulate, the Consul Luis Chao and Barbara Gutierrez, that are working very hard. Thank you for the support of the Brownsville Independent School District, and I hope will be the first, but not the last of these meetings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. I'd like to recognize the tremendous effort and the administrators that have put a lot of their time, their input, and we appreciate it. From this county representative, we have Ms. Xochitl, and your last name, I'm sorry. Llamas, Xochitl Llamas. Aurora de la Garza is also with us tonight. Rosalba Larrasquito, our parental coordinator, is with us. Mary Salinas, our counseling administrator. Maria Gonzalez, our bilingual administrator. And of course, like he mentioned, Dr. Rita Hernandez and myself. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, Mary Lou.
Any comments from the board? Okay, thank you very much. Move on to item 6, presentation of vendor payment report from July 1st, 2005 to March 31st, 2006.
Just a note, we have that big volume of stuff sitting in Mr. Sanchez's. If anyone wants to come by and look at the vendor list, this would be $25,000 or less.
Thank you. I requested that, and I appreciate for the accommodation. Any comments other than myself? Okay, move on to item 7, presentation on the state compensatory education agreed upon procedures for the 2004-2005 school year. Dr. Solkowski.
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Sanchez.
As requested by TEA, Carlos Casco and staff conducted the audit for the state comp. Representing Carlos Casco's office is Paulo Basaldua, who's going to give you an overview of the audit. Paulo?
Thank you, sir. Board President, Dr. Salkowski, and members of the board, my name is Paulo Basaldua, and I'm with the audit firm of Patel, O'Brien & Hill. What you should have before you is an agreed-upon procedures report, which is a short 12-page document. That is a report that was required by TEA for us to conduct. It is as of June 30th, 2005. Within that report, what we ended up doing is reviewing compliance procedures in relation to state comp education monies, and really that's all it really was. The report discloses no financial information. It is really just compliance procedures, and in that we reviewed certain procedures such as budget information, allowable expenditures, the eligibility of participants, and the reporting requirements. Within that, there were minor deficiencies which were found and are disclosed within the report, but overall the audit went well. The report does disclose the procedures which we conducted, any deficiencies that were found, a corrective action plan of the district, and the timeline in which the corrective action plan will be implemented. All that's really required is approval by the board in order for it to be submitted to the state in a timely manner. Aside from that, I really ask the board if there's any specific questions that what y'all may have.
Anyone have any questions, gentlemen? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on, item number 8, presentation on the correction of the 2006 bond election order. Dr. Zolkowski.
Ms. Pena.
Dr. Zolkowski, Mr. Lehman, members of the board, this presentation is for the purpose of providing notice to all of you, the Board of Trustees, of the corrections made to the minutes on the order and resolution for a bond election approved and passed on February the 23rd, 2006. The district, the Cameron County Elections Office, and the Office of Fulbright and Jaworski, our bond counsel for the district, have made certain changes to update the names and locations of several voting sites for Election Day voting. The specific changes for these voting sites are identified on Exhibit C of the memo to the United States Department of Justice. The corrections have been submitted by bond counsel as an addendum to the previous submission and should not delay our election pre-clearance. The submitted changes are not intended to, nor will they have, an adverse effect on the voting strength in the district. By correcting and reflecting accurate physical addresses, voting will be more accessible to all voters of this district. All three entities take pride in their work and ask for Dr. Zolkowski's and the board's indulgence. It is a difficult task to work with other entities and all come to an agreement, but I can assure you that the order and the resolution documents in both English and Spanish have been and will continue to be scrutinized. While these changes are not considered significant, we will continue to work towards improving and updating our voting locations and procedures accurately.
Thank you, Ms. Pena.
Any questions from the board? Doctor, are you fine with that? Everything okay?
Yes.
Okay. We'll move on to item 9, notification of betterment fund change order and contract change order. Dr. Zolkowski.
We just had one change order on a fire alarm on a building, I believe it was Palm Grove.
Comments, questions? Okay, thank you. We now move on to Roman numeral 9, consent agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Board calendar, that's correct. B, I'm sorry. Standing board agenda items 10, board calendar. Sorry about that, Doctor.
Okay. Today was the start of tax testing, and we did get our math scores in, and I did email everyone. We went up, and things are looking great. This Saturday, we have our 3rd annual scholarship golf tournament. Our goal is $60,000 to give our students scholarships. Would invite the board. Some of you will be there. Of course, Sunday's our big day at the stadium at 7 p.m. with celebrating Porter's big win, 5A championship, Porter Cowboys. In May, on the 1st, Teacher Appreciation Day, the teachers will not be in force on Monday, so we're off on Monday. Tuesday, we have a board meeting. Wednesday, we have the Employees Awards Night, so that you will have the proper dress. It's a 70s theme, disco. On the 4th, it's Take Our Children to Work Day. 5th, we have District Parent Mother's Day event. And then on the 6th, we had the 34th annual Elementary Field Day at the stadium, and possibly have the opening of Central. We won't make that determination until next week. On the 9th, the following week is Teacher Appreciation Week, but on the 9th is National Teacher Day, and on the 10th is National School Nurse Day. On the 11th, we have our top 5% picnic out at the encampment for all of our seniors and people that are in the top 5%. On the 13th, we have an elementary science fair at Vela, Falk, and Olivetta Middle School. It's also the election for the bond issue for everyone that would vote. And remember that our ballot is a separate ballot. Early voting actually starts May 1st, but the main election is on the 13th. On the 14th is Mother's Day. 16th, regular board meeting. On the 25th, we have a special call board meeting at that time. And also on the 28th, we have baccalaureate for graduation. And then Memorial Day, we are off. And that covers the calendar, Mr. Lehman.
Any questions? Mr. Powers?
President Lehman, Dr. Z, in the May, we need to have a school board budget committee workshop. That
We
should
have
be
one
part of-
scheduled.
We do?
It's not posted yet.
Okay.
And we also will have a facility committee meeting in there. We're going to get back. We're still looking at the dates, trying to, and our retreat will be in June this year because May is just full.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
Yes. I'd like to remind the public that on Saturday, April 22nd, we have our BISD auction. And I ask administration, will that be here at the main site or elsewhere?
Mr. Sanchez?
I think Mr. Fisher's here. I saw him
Be at the warehouse.
Mr. Fisher is the warehouse? Rockwell Warehouse.
The book.
Okay, so we're going to be selling a whole bunch of computers and monitors and kitchen equipment and odds and ends. Remind everyone that there are bargains to be had there Saturday, the 22nd at probably about 8 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you. Any further comments? Okay. We now move on to item 9, consent agenda. I have received a list from my colleagues indicating that there is no need for discussion or deliberation on the following agenda items. I will, under general function A, recommend approval of the following general function items, number 11, 13, 14. Under B, recommend approval of the following payment, 16 and 17. Under C, recommend approval of the following budget amendments, number 19. Under 12E, recommend approval of the following RFP proposals. Item 22 will be taking in closed meeting. X, which is 10 Roman numeral, closed meeting. Items 25, 26, 27, 28.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Item 23. Circle 22 and 23.
Well, we're going to discuss them.
Both.
Yes, I haven't called them. All right. I just notifying that 22 is going into consent. Into closed meeting. That's all.
Can you do that? Is that allowable?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Concurred with legal.
Good.
Checking. Can we move on? Okay, now we go to 10, closed meeting.
24. Excuse me, what's the status on 24?
Okay.
F24.
Okay, we're going to go back to 24, under F, it's discussion item. Okay. We got it? Norma, you okay with that? Okay.
Got it? Yeah.
Under 10, closed meeting for the third time. A, personnel matters, number 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. B. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the consent items as read?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and second. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll go on to A, recommend approval of the following general function items. 12, recommend approval of the state compensatory educational agreed upon procedures report for the fiscal year 2004-2005. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Discussion, Mr. Aguilar.
Yes, I just, first I want to thank that it's a pretty good, nice audit made. And however, I'm very concerned some of these findings concerning the spending of our state money, now reaching the 85% as required by the state of Texas. I'm concerned because a few years ago, that was one of the reasons why we were non-compliance and we had to work at it. And now here we're going back again, not spend it, the 85% or better. Again, it's the same old stuff about not having some of the requires by the state on lesson plan books. How much is spent, where's it coming from. It's a very easy procedure. However, I'm very glad, though, Dr. Z, that the recommendation and plan of actions are recommended the same standard procedures that are already in place, except we have not monitored those processes. And I believe the board had brought this up in the past because we were looking at some of the requisitions that come in April, and some of the schools are not spending their money. As of today, right now, we have schools that are asking the teachers, come on, we need to spend the money for this deadline. Now, when are we going to do it? You see, this is why we get a non-compliance. So somehow we need to monitor some of this procedure. It's nice to have it on paper, and again, I'm glad you submitted because it makes me feel good to see some of this had already been, that Mrs. Monfils at that time worked real hard on this, previous years. So I'm asking, requests, and it's good, sir. I mean, we can repair this, but constantly be on top of it. That our principals, area superintendents, the board is conscious that we need to insist, we need to spend the money. This is money for our kids, for our teachers, for our supplies. There's no reason why all these schools cannot spend their money in October when the administration gives them to them in April or May. Isn't that correct, Mr. Sanchez? So they know exactly how much they have. I just wanted to make that comment.
Dr. Salkowski?
We've done a better job, Mr. Aguilar. Well, with the $12 million, we've spent $1 million in grants. We've spent $7 million in technology, and I signed for most of that. I can tell you, in our 162 account, we've spent more this year than we have. We currently are finishing that. We have $1 million in fine arts that we're spending, and then we have library, which is going to be spent because we didn't spend that 85. But next year's audit, we will. And I know what you're talking about. Not only do we have it on paper, but to make sure that it actually gets there and gets spent.
Well, and I'm glad you looked into that, the millions of dollars we're spending, because they had been accumulated throughout the years. However, this audit is saying is the present $20-something million of last year's budget that has been incurred for instruction, that 85%. That's what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. The current ones of 2005, 2004, 2005?
Right.
Okay. See, that is the one we're talking about. The money you spent had already been accumulated throughout the years, which I'm very glad that really, because for the first time in I don't know how many years we've been asking, and so I know I'm glad for you that you're a man of action and took care of it. But we still need to take care of that 85%.
Right.
Year after year is given to the campuses to spend.
Well, we're going to stay on that.
Thank you,
I
sir.
have Dr. Hernandez and Smiley on it, but I think we're going to be okay this year, starting with July. I think it's July 1st of 05 to 06 will be our next audit. So we're going to be in good shape. We have spent that money, and you are correct. Actually, for the last 5 or 6 years, they've been putting money away. And I don't know if they've ever hit the 85, but we'll hit the 85 in the next audit.
Additional comments? Dr. Salkowski, I also hear stories that there seems to be a hoarding of funding, and we need to get the money to the campuses as quickly as possible and not impede, especially instructional monies. And I would like to see a more expedient process.
If we know which campus, we can check on it. But I will tell you that I sign
all of them
and review 100 POs a day. And they're not being held up. Part of them, some need to get 3 quotes. Some of them have to make sure that they follow the bidding law or the buy board.
If there's education that needs to be taught to how to requisition, then we need to do that. And I think maybe there's a breakdown in requisitioning procedures, but we need to make sure.
Okay.
And I echo Mr. Aguilar's comments, and we need to be more expedient, more resourceful. Additional comments? There's a motion and a second to approve item 12. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye. 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 Motion carries unanimous. Item 15, discussion, consideration, and possible action to temporarily suspend policy CW local pursuant to BF local and select a name for elementary number 140 from among the nominations submitted by community members. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've had quite a good participation in this endeavor, and I'd like to thank the administration for putting together a book for our perusal, which was very well compiled, and there's so much information and history here. Just reading it was very interesting. I learned a few things about my own city, and but we had about 30 nominations for names for elementary 140, and quite a very good participation. We had a lot of letters for the different nominations, but I don't know if I should say it here, but one of them was outstanding or stands out as far as I'm concerned, and the one nomination had over 20 letters from different people in our community, and also we had a petition of over 750 signatures for the one nomination, and that is for Mr. Ben Bright. So I think that probably Mr. and Mrs. Barry Putnat should be thanked for the effort, especially Mrs. Putnat did in this endeavor, and her friends and other folks, too numerous to mention. But if anybody wants to name a school in the future, they might want to talk to her, and she'll tell you how to compose a campaign. And hopefully, with the bond issue, we will have several other schools to name in the next few years. So, on that note, I would like to nominate, if it's correct. May I?
Yeah, let's finish the
Fine.
discussion item, and then we'll concur.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Powers, I need to go down the line here.
Yeah, I'll go down the line. I concur with Mr. Munoz. I've been in process of this many times, about 8 years, and everybody on this list, all 30 people, is worthy candidates. And I want to tip my hat off to everybody that submitted a name, to the family members that submitted the names to us. It is a history book, and I have it right here, and I'm like Munoz, I'm going to keep it and put it in my office, because there's a lot of fine folks in here. But I concur with Mr. Munoz. I think everybody deserves a school, but at this time we only can name one. And I concur with Mr. Munoz. I think Ben Bright would be a worthy candidate to be a school after him.
Regular, you wanted to say a few comments?
It seems like, yes, there were 30 nominations. They're all worthwhile. I mean, however, when you start looking at the list, I did not need all those signatures or letters to tell me who's the best candidate. Simply because I'm the oldest member here, and when I came to Brownsville in 1965 to teach, Mr. Bright was still a counselor at Still Middle School. It's amazing. This man was an educator in the 40s, middle 40s, superintendent, becomes a principal, coach, principal, all this educator. So you see, guys, I didn't need all those petitions to know who is the best candidate among those 30. You see, so I concur with the rest of my board members. Mr. Bright is worthwhile and a candidate. We're not saying that the 29 others are not. In fact, there are 2 other names there that perhaps are worthy of nomination in the future for a different school because they are also excellent educators. Mr. Bright, former superintendent also. I mean, what can we say when you work with them? Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Don't take your age.
Additional comments? Mr. Colunga?
I would agree with that. Mr. Bright's nomination is an excellent choice for an elementary school, and certainly a well-respected educator in the community, and well-known throughout the community. We appreciate all of the support that he received, and we were educated in the process and getting to know a lot of nominees. But I would also concur with my colleagues in supporting the nomination of Mr. Bright.
Ms. Galavan?
When I was looking over the policy, number 4 reads, "The nominee must have made a significant contribution to society and/or education, and his or her name should lend prestige and status to an institution of learning." And when reviewing the booklet, there were quite a few names that did do this, and there was one that did stand out, and there was one that you can tell had a lot of community support, and that helped with the naming of the school, and I thank the community for putting forth that effort.
Doctor?
Well, I can't say anything that hasn't been said already, but I do appreciate all the letters, all the phone calls. This book is quite a history book. As some of my colleagues, I'm going to store it in my office and read it every now and then. I wish I would be able to talk more to people that actually knew him, like Mr. Aguilar. I see a former neighbor of mine, Dr. Jones. Hello. Hopefully we can get together and you can tell me something about Mr. Bright that's not in this book. I too support the nomination of his name. And with that said, I'm ready to vote.
Okay, well, enough said. Like a good doctor on the operating table assisting, I concur. Then I'm going to need a motion to temporarily suspend policy CW, local pursuant to BF local, and select the name for elementary 140. Okay. Flip it. No, wait a minute, I want to do it. You want to do it?
Do it.
You want to do it? Okay, go ahead.
I
Ms.
move
Munoz.
that we suspend policy.
Okay, and name?
And name the school after Mr. Ben Bright.
Ben Bright, okay. There's a motion and do I have a second? There's a motion and a second to suspend the policy and name elementary 140, namesake of Ben Bright. Long-time educator.
All in favor? Got to vote.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Powers. Okay.
You gotta vote.
Okay.
You gotta vote.
All those in favor signify by raising your hands, saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimous. Congratulations. I feel like Rodney Dangerfield on top of the crowd, you know? Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm going to break the rules, and I'm going to allow you 1 minute. Okay. Go ahead.
Words are inadequate to thank you all for naming this school after a man that truly, in our hearts, and all these people that have known him, the citizens of Brownsville, thank you from the bottom of our heart for naming this school after this wonderful man. I know Ben's in heaven looking down at us, and this man dedicated his life to this community. He loved us all, and we loved him. Thank you very, very much. But one correction. I am a novice, and I want to thank the cooperation that I had from the office. And when I came in, I didn't even know how to start. But this wonderful lady, Ms. Brown here, was the one that told me the guidelines of what I had to do. And I had to thank Reuben Edelstein and my husband, Barry Putinette, because they were the ones that said we should have a school named Ben Bright. And thanks to the corporation for a wonderful staff that we have here. And another thing is that I met some very nice people here while I was doing it. And thank you all very, very much. And we'll see you all later. Miss Betty, she doesn't know yet, and I told her I would call her and let her know. But when she does come, and we will all meet her and her husband. And the Bright and Gannon family, thank you, too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peanut. Move on to item C, recommend approval of the following budget amendments. 18, recommend approval of budget amendment number 100 in the amount of $325,000 for Fund 199, Local Maintenance Fund for the Transportation Department, gas and other fuels for vehicles, local maintenance fund balance. Is there a motion to approve recommendation?
Move.
There's a motion to approve. Second. Discussion. Mr. Munoz.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I had just a couple of questions. I believe that we added some monies to this account recently. Did we not?
Mr. Gonzalez? No, not that account.
This was for fuel.
This is for fuel.
I thought we had added some not too long ago. Okay.
Probably fuel, what is it?
What I'd like to know is how much remains in the budget, and how much fuel do we expend a week? Because we're saying we need 18 more draws at $36,000 a week. So we must know $36,000 a week, 18,000 gallons a week.
Excuse me, can I interrupt?
Sure.
Shouldn't we have a financial report? We got left out.
On which one?
It's the on every Thursday. I mean every third.
No, it's the next month. Next time.
I thought it was
Okay.
I thought it was the third week.
No, it's next time.
Really?
Isn't it, Ms. Sanchez?
No, I think it's. No, I think it's it's due today. But anyway, that would have.
I apologize.
It's missing. I just noticed that. So anyway, that would have answered your question. Probably.
We can get that information to
It's
him.
every third Thursday, Tuesday rather. Go ahead.
I would like to know how much fuel we expend per week, and we're projecting a shortfall in our fuel budget. So this $325,000 will make us to the end of the budgetary period, we feel.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Thank you, Dr. Sokolsky, Mr. Lehman, Mr. Munoz, members of the board. We project that this will carry us through June. We're almost, if we don't get this budget amendment real quick, then I don't know how Mr. Sanchez is going to do it to get us some fuel, but we still need to run some buses. We have about 309 buses on the road plus other equipment, and this does not include maintenance or security or anything. This is just transportation, and this is for diesel fuel and for unleaded gasoline, whatever we use. So we project, talking to Mr. Chirinos, and he projects that this will carry us through June. We might need a little bit more to finish summer school, but hopefully by that time we'll be able to. Well, it's a new budget year. Summer school runs a little bit through July.
Okay.
So we're really hoping that by that time the new budget will be adopted and we'll order some more fuel. So this should carry us through June.
Thank you. I would like to mention to the chair that perhaps we might want to discuss. I don't know if we'll do it in a facilities meeting. I'm not quite sure of the proper venue, but I think probably I personally would like to know what our policy is, or if we have enacted any sort of fuel-saving measures, because we all know how high fuel is. We also, we know we have a wellness problem. We have an obesity problem. Our kids are overweight. And I don't know how many calls I get about buses going literally from door to door to door. We all remember when if we were fortunate enough to ride the bus when we were kids, the bus might have come, we might have had to walk 2 blocks to a common area to pick up the bus. So I think probably there are some things that we can do as a district. We've been mandated to see what we can do to get our children to walk a little bit, to exercise a little bit. I think we might be able to look at perhaps only stopping on 1 block and picking up all the children on that block, and they can walk to a common area. So there's some things that we can do that will save fuel and also might circulate the blood a little bit. But I'm not sure if we do that in facilities or policy meeting, or perhaps Superintendent can advise me of that if he'd listen. Did you hear that, Dr. Z?
Yes, I'm listening to
Good.
Mr. Munoz, every
How
word.
about an answer?
So noted.
No, I don't want to hear so noted. What committee should we bring this up into?
Probably be in a budget committee because it's not under facilities.
Okay, good. Thank you, sir.
We're discussing right now that the physical financial statement should have been on this report, and it's missing. And that should have been part of this report, Mr. Munoz, and I think that would have given you an answer. And we're having a discrepancy here into finding out why it's not here. Now, as far as I recall, there has not been any additional monies put into this account. Is that correct, Dr. Sokolsky?
That's what Mr. Sanchez, I think, and Mr. Gonzalez
Now,
confirmed.
I think the realization of fuel the way it's going, what is going to be the actual amount of monies going into this account? Are we coming back?
We'll come back with the report. We need to come back with a report on that. Gas is supposed to go by next summer to up to 4 gallons. We need to buy it in big bulk. One of the things that we are doing Mr. Munoz makes a point. One of the things we are doing is we have a lot of routes after school. We do a lot of tutoring. We do a lot of summer school. Every sport has a bus. It may be something we may need to look if fuel gets too high, because I believe in transporting students, but I also believe we've got the cost of education. So we really need to take a hard look at it in our budget this year and do some planning. I don't know if we can forecast it. There's also the new ethanol fuel that's coming in. We may want to look at a different venue to handle our students. But one of the things that I'm for sure is that at budget time we need to look at everything.
Thank you, sir.
And what is the actual budget for fuel for this year?
Mr. Gonzalez, you wouldn't know that, would you, offhand?
I wouldn't know it offhand. I'd have to get the
Since
budget.
we don't have that item listed in the...
Mr. Lehman.
Aguilar?
Thanks, sir. Which I'm glad to hear what you got to do in the budget time. However, I hope we don't shortchange our student services, because we're not here to do that. We just need to look at it and provide all the things that our kids need. And that's our concern, just
Well,
their budget time. We're not going to cut
No.
any services for our kids.
We have summer school planned. If our goal is instruction of students, that weighs more than the cost of gasoline.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Mr. Munoz, additional comment?
Yes. I don't think there's no one is suggesting that we reduce the services at this point to our students. We're mindful of the needs for providing a proper education, but we would perhaps suggest that transportation start bringing together a plan that will help us do this. For instance, like I say, I get a lot of calls from people that are very irritated about having to stop at every third house and discharge children, when we all know that that's not necessary. When I see a bus stop on the main, say on Boca Chica, and let someone off 2 houses from the corner, and then turn the corner when the bus could probably have more safely turned the corner, gotten off the main street, and discharged that child, and not caused a dozen cars to have stopped and so on and so forth. It's not only our fuel that's being wasted; it's the whole public's fuel. So there's so many things that we can do with a little bit of thought that we can help the public, and we can save some money for ourselves, and perhaps help our children's health. Thank you.
Additional comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Motion carries. Move on to D, recommend approval of the following contracts and agreements. Number 20, recommend approval to amend the owner-architect agreement with Kel Munoz Architects, San Antonio, Texas, for the Margaret M. Clark Adoptive Aquatic Pool Additional Project in the amount not to exceed $104,117.89, $64,800 previously approved. Is there a motion to approve?
Move. I'll second.
There's a motion, a second to approve the recommendation. Discussion, myself, Pat Lehman. Okay, Dr. Solkowski.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this project was, I'm trying to read the data that's been given to us. The original amount was predicated on 900,000?
Yes, sir.
And who came up with 900,000?
That was before we had the lock rooms and everything. We were looking at trying to get it under $1 million. When we had a facility meeting, Mr. Gonzalez can fill us in, we decided to add it, so we've actually expanded the scope of that work.
Well, I think it came out. Is that the way it worked out?
Mr. Gonzalez?
Thank you, Dr. Skowski, Mr. Lehman, members of the board. The original, yes, when we had facilities committee meeting, at the original time we contracted with Kel Munoz was for just the pool only. And directive from the board at that time was try to keep it under $1,900,000 was sort of an agreed to number consensus. So we did that. We brought that to the board for approval. Then we had further facilities committee meetings. They said, no, let's go ahead and put change rooms, locker rooms, bathrooms, everything in there that's needed. So we said, well, that's going to change the scope of work. We'll work it out with the firm Kel Munoz. Everybody said, okay, work it out. And the reason it took so long to bring it back was we were working it out. And I tried to get the best deal that I could for the district, and they were adamant at 7.2 or more, where I was adamant at 6. We compromised at 6.4, which I think is a very fair number for the difference from the pool, because the pool was very expensive as far as technology is concerned, water technology and everything, that's why the 7.2, but the rest I agree was a 6.4 for the locker room. So the recommendation finally came to y'all at this particular cost based on actual cost, no guessing.
Okay, I didn't see that number. I was trying to figure it out. So the actual additional was a little bit over $500,000.
It
Or
was
maybe not.
614.
No, but I'm basing it on 7.2, so you said 6.4, so it'll be more.
6.4 of the 614.
Okay, so my question is just for future reference, Dr. Salkowski. When we do contracts, when an architect does preliminary drawings, we inject in there in the contract that their, I guess, percentage or their fee is locked in at the projected, at that particular conceptual design. So the additional is what we negotiated? Okay, and we got it down to 6.4.
6.4 of the 614. That's on page 107.
The original was 7.2.
What page is that?
107.
107. Right here.
That's what I came out. Okay, 547. I was coming out. Okay. All right.
And the reason we did that is we did not pay for contingency. I was able to knock off contingency there.
And those plans were not on alternates? I thought they were. Or they were, they were bid out?
They did do it and designed it on alternate because of the fact that we wanted to make sure that if the board decided they didn't want the locker rooms, it would not have to be part of the base bid. Otherwise, we'd have to go and modify. So we always do things on alternates because at that particular time, the board had not approved the budget amendment to include the other $600,000 in the cost of the pool.
Okay. All righty. Additional comments? Mr. Munoz?
Yes, Mr. President. I believe that the $39,000 addition for the added, the berms, the restrooms, the change area, the sprinklers, the showers, I think it's reasonable.
William?
Yes, sir, Mr. Aguilar.
Yes, I just want to thank the administration for doing a super good job negotiating this contract.
Appreciate it.
Ms. Galvan?
I was going to echo that the $39,000 is an excellent price, and I wanted to thank Mr. Gonzalez for going out of the way and negotiating that lower percentage.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, and the project is on queue, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, okay. Very good. I just want
Today.
to make sure Mr. Colunga hears that. So.
Colunga, your baby project.
Well, I just wanted to say that it is a necessary part of the facility to have the changing rooms and the restrooms, because it was part of the one of the committee that I served on. We discussed that it would be needed. So, however, I think I missed some of the facilities discussions that cut it back. So I'm glad that it's back on.
I just thought that it was part of the addition or the alternates. It was okay. I missed something in the transition there. Okay, further comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 20. All those in favor signify by raising your hand saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. E, recommend approval of the following RFP proposals. 21, recommend approval to award RFP number 6-098 to Scoggins Construction Company Incorporated, Harlingen, Texas, for construction services for the Pace and Porter High School kitchen renovation project in the amount not to exceed $1,320,000. Project to be done subject to the district's needs and funding. Is there a motion to approve?
Move. Second.
There's a motion to approve in a second. Discussion. Myself, Matt Lehman. My concern here was that the option to not look at job order contract, just out of curiosity. Was that a consideration or not?
Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Dr. Sokowski, Mr. Lehman, members of the board. When we decide to go out for bids or proposals, like in this case, once we decide to go one route, we have to go with that route. Now, if it's rejected by the board, if it came over budget and so on and so forth, then we can go ahead and do another type of solicitation. But once you decide to go on a bid or a proposal, you have to stick with that one. You cannot compare job order contracting versus a bid until the bids are rejected or administration recommends that part of it. You cannot shop around. That's against, and Mike can tell you that's against the law, basically. So the budget for this, we thought budget was 2.3 million. It came in at a little over 2 million. It's right on target. Another thing I want to mention right off the offset, in case you have any questions on it, my recommendation was to go with the 150 days to have less inconvenience for serving on those campuses. I wanted to see the difference between 180 and 150. The difference was small. And just to let you all know that if we do, and if it is approved, we'll start work on or about May 1st. And we will publish out to the students and to the parents that we will not be cooking on those campuses because once we start doing that, so the offerings that we have for food will be limited as far as what we're going to be cooking at other campuses. So with that in mind, we need to really look. We're going to be cooking at Vela for Hannah. We're going to be cooking at Stell, I believe, for Pace, or no, at the central cafeteria for Pace, and I think we're cooking at Perkins for Porter. So being that, I wanted to cut down on the number of days. It came out at a real reasonable price, and I think it's a good price. It came in under budget, and it came in at a price that I think is very reasonable.
And originally, the breakdowns were individually, or they were bundled?
We decided to do two together, which is Pace and Porter, because they have very similar cafeterias, which would be easy to duplicate because they're mirrors of each other, and Hannah by itself, and then see what type of. That way, we were hoping really for two contractors, which we did get, simply because the work would go faster.
And they have the similar work?
Yes, it's similar, but there are some significant differences on Hannah versus Pace and Porter because of the size.
What would be taking place, just out of curiosity?
Complete renovation of the kitchen, expansion of the kitchen, the cooking areas.
Does that mean new equipment coming in, or not necessarily?
We're going to add new equipment, which is not part of the bid. That's part of food service purchasing the equipment.
So this is just construction?
Construction of the actual design, the electrical upgrades, everything that needs to go in there to be able to get it in. It's a complete renovation of the kitchens. This is a complete upgrade to be able to do what we need to do like we have it on the other campuses.
And square footage, what's the difference between these two? Or is Pace and Porter smaller than Hannah?
Not necessarily. It's smaller. The expansion is a little bit different, but the square footage, I don't recall. I don't know if Mr. Tapia recalls the exact square footage of each one. Do you, Mr. Tapia? I can certainly share the plans with you if you want to.
No, just curious to see what, since it was bundled, I wouldn't. It came out to $660,000 apiece if they're the same.
Hannah's a little bit more extensive. I can tell you that right now it does feed a whole lot more kids.
Okay. Additional comments? Okay. There's a motion and a second to approve item 21. All those in favor signify by saying yes or raising your hand. Aye, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Motion carries. 21. Item 23, recommend approval to award RFP number 6-099 to Donald D. Ferguson Incorporated, Brownsville, Texas, for construction services for the new vocational building at the Brownsville Academic Center in the amount not to exceed $449,000. Project to be done, $449,000. Project to be done subject to the district's needs and funding. Is there a motion to approve? There's a motion to approve. A second. Second. There's a motion and a second. Discussion. Mr. Munoz.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to know what the size of the building is and the estimated cost per square foot.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Dr. Sokowski. Mr. Lehman, members of the board. Mr. Munoz, yes, the building is a 40 by 60.
40 by 60.
Mm-hmm. And it comes out to about $187 a square foot. That's what we came out with. I know the budget was a little bit higher.
What's the size of the?
40 by 60.
40 by 60.
40 by 60?
40 by 60.
The original was 140 by 40.
The original was 120 by 40.
120 by 40. It was huge.
And we had estimated a budget of $565 for that,
So it's 2,400 square feet?
Yes. Yes.
400 square feet, yes, sir.
Wow. That, that is a very, very, well, before I say it's a high price, give us a description of the facility. Any offices, air conditioning, restrooms?
Yes. It'll have restrooms in there. We have to
I'm sorry?
by code, we have to have restrooms in there. We do have a small classroom. Within it is the office. It's just the classroom in itself. And then we have areas for woodwork, for a little bit of welding, a little bit of the occupational areas in there. Little caged area for tools to make sure that the tools are stored away and locked up and so on and so forth. It's a metal building. It's relatively simple. It's high in the sense that it's high in electrical. I mean, you have to have all those 240s and 208s in there. You have to have all that stuff.
That argument doesn't get it with me.
I know, but that's the price that came in. I mean, we can argue. I agree it's high, but the bids were very competitive, and that's what they're bidding it at. I mean,
$187 a square foot is outrageous. It's outrageous.
And the reason is it's a small building too.
Yeah,
it is a small building. I agree with you. It's a small building, and
it's $500,000. That's not small.
It's about the same cost as the field house. No.
Yeah, we're still agitated about that.
But had it been a little bit larger, probably the cost per square foot would have been less, because the cost of putting in the electrical that we need and the plumbing that we need, that's what's costing us. So you make it bigger, the cost per square foot goes lower. So adding certainly would not add a whole lot of cost, but because we still have to bring those particular things into it, that's what the initial cost is, initial startup cost of the building.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Additional comments? I have a few. I think we had a similar project with the Sam's Memorial Stadium, doing an addition, and that encompassed tearing down and reconstructing, and then we ended up paying how much for that building per square foot?
Mr. Gonzalez.
About the same price, 180 something when we got through with it, when we got our contingencies back and so on and so forth.
Close to 190. Yeah.
Okay,
Pretty close to 190.
Here we have a tin can that we're building. I mean, it's unless I see conceptual, the engineering of this, something is not quite correct here for it to come out 187, I guess, dollars a square foot for a metal building. I just don't see it. Whether it's being blamed on high, I guess, mechanical design.
Electrical.
In this case, electrical, because I don't. What are we air conditioning, Dr. Solkowski, in this particular building?
The classroom.
It has a classroom.
What's the size of the classroom? Can it be 40 by 60?
No.
25.
That's the whole building.
That's a
third of the building.
900 square feet.
900, 800.
Half of the building?
How much?
20 by
About 900.
800.
about 900 square
That's a
feet.
good number.
So what is it, 20 by
40% of the building.
40%? So, I mean, that cannot, I don't know. $187 is an extremely, something's wrong. So I don't know what the...
So that part of the building should be $125 a square foot, and the rest should be $40, $50 a square
metal
foot.
buildings, I mean, I would assume a standard metal building is roughly in the low 20s, just a shell. Now, I don't know where else we're going to put in there. You say electrical. What as far as electrical, what is going into this building?
You have to design it in accordance with the specs that are needed for the type of operations we're going to have in there. You have power saws, you have your table saws, you have your band saws, you have your braided arm saws. You have to have that type of electrical upgrades. You ever worked in a shop, you know
what's
how much juice that takes, and
140
they're welders.
140 school 140 is costing us how much a square foot?
Oh, I don't know.
9.2.
Mr. Tapia, do you recall? 105?
105, and that's...
A lot of space.
Well, it doesn't matter, but comparing...
It's a much bigger building.
I would ask anyway, I'm killing this to death. Any additional comments?
Well,
Mr. Aguilar?
Let me ask you, Administrator, are you familiar with the same similar project somewhere in the state of Texas, and what's the going rate? I am too concerned about such a small building and such a high price per square foot. Were you familiar with any others?
The cost, the cost is, per square foot is high. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not. It would have gone down probably we made a bigger building. We were trying to duplicate Lopez. You remember, Mr. Aguilar, Lopez, the ag building we had at Lopez? That was the original intent, but it got smaller. So I really don't know what the price. I haven't seen a building like this in this size, of 40 by 60. To be honest with you, to be able to fairly compare. So I don't want to lie to you and say yes. I know of one that size.
Right.
Hardly anybody builds one that size. It's a small building. Stanford wants to say something if it's okay with Dr. Z. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dr.
Is he
Z?
the architect? Is he the architect?
He's the architect.
That's fine.
If you'd like me to address the issues, I did design the vocational school at Lopez and at Hannah, and that's partly why we got the job. We turned around, and in this project, we have the same number of equipment in the woodworking area that we had at Lopez, and the square footage is smaller. So yes, the electrical cost increased by a large amount. We have a dust collection unit for the system. The dust collection unit by itself is almost $15,000 to deliver it and install it with all the ductwork included. It's over $45,000. We also have these hood for the welding areas that has to draw all the fumes outside of the building to meet our safety codes. That in itself almost is $20,000. So by the time you add the electrical, by the time you add these pieces of equipment and your access to get to the table saws, the band saws, the joiners, so on and so forth, all those pieces of equipment, and have a safe facility to work in for the kids. We also have a shunt. It's basically a switch that if a machine makes a bad noise or a kid screams, the teacher from 3 points inside the building can hit a button and turn everything off. And that's all done for safety. So you're talking about over $100,000 just in that. So yes, the building is an inexpensive metal building, but when you talk about the electrical and so on and so forth, it is a major part of the cost.
But you just convinced
plus
me
the
to.
equipment for
You just convinced me to buzz the kids to those what high schools?
Lopez and Hannah.
Yeah.
Utilize those facilities.
Yes, I think that'd
Oh
be
yes,
smart.
and besides that, we
How
do
much?
have,
What was the cost of those buildings? Just out of curiosity.
back when we did both of them for $1.2 million back, and that was 8 years ago.
Okay. And out of curiosity, we build gyms out of portable buildings too, correct, Dr. Sokos? Gyms. Some of our gyms are semi-portable with some fascia.
They have their
What-
metal
what's the square
buildings with
footage on
slabs.
We did a 4,500 square foot mini gym last year, and it was under, what was it, $200,000. So,
Right.
yes, this is same construction.
Give me a square footage. Ken.
Beyond that,
What's
we
the square
missed
footage?
the square footage on the building, 4,500 on the mini
No,
gym. that I
the
did.
cost.
The
for a
cost,
gym.
or off the top of my head, I can't tell you right now. That's
So
a
cheap.
year ago.
And that has a very expensive floor too.
The
Anyway.
we have an epoxy floor in there so the kids don't slip.
I understand. So it is an extremely expensive project. So anyway.
I also note that there is not the building in itself. We also have another 800 square feet of covered area with slab and roof. That's a canopy covered area.
That's true.
Because we have an outside working area, and we also have a roof over the cyclone unit, which otherwise is not meant to be set in outside condition, because that would push the price of it up. We also have compressed air that goes to all of those woodworking units.
Additional comments for Mr. Stanford Knowles? Dr. Solkowski, any comments for Mr. Stanford?
One of the reasons is we have students that'll be there for over a year, and we need to offer them an elective. And we felt having a general ag mechanics, we could offer some different type skills for these students who are going to be there. And so the cost is in a lot of the safety equipment. You know, we could build a shell, but then we'd still have to go in and put in all the equipment ourselves. So, I mean, the original building was 120, 140 by 40. We reduced the size to reduce the cost, but we still had some outside working areas.
Are you saying that that equipment that he was talking about includes in this price?
No.
No.
It'll be a different
The
price.
cyclone unit is
You see?
included. And
No,
so
this
are
is a
the,
construction price only.
This is what we're talking about, you see. So when you mention all this, it's come from another budget. And we're not here arguing about I believe the program is excellent because we need to provide some kind of curriculum activities for those young people, regardless if they were 6 months or a year. It's just the cost we're talking about. We're not talking about the service we can provide. It's just the cost. In our opinion, it's kind of high.
Well, the original TLC didn't have this concept.
No,
so like I said, if need be, we can transport our students to the other. What is it, Porter and?
We couldn't do that, Mr. Lehman.
I mean, that's.
No, I mean.
If I may, Lopez is the only school that has a woodworking shop left in the
We wouldn't.
district.
Those kids have been separated for reasons.
That's
Some are on probation with the law. That I really wouldn't want to put them back in the general population.
Mr. Lehman, and I agree with Dr. Z. That would be a bad suggestion, really.
Additional comments? Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 23. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. All those against? Aye. Say aye or raise your hand. A motion fails 5-2. Move on to F. Recommend approval to the following RFP qualifications. Recommend approval to award RFQ number 6-033 to ACR Engineering Incorporated, Harlingen, Texas, to provide electrical engineering services for the electrical service project at the main administration office in the amount not to exceed $13,020. Project to be done subject to the district's needs and funding. Is there a motion to approve? There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Discussion, Mr. Munoz.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to know what the nature of the project is and its genesis. What is this all about?
Mr. Fisher.
Dr. Zolkowski, Mr. Lehman, members of the board, and Mr. Munoz. This project is to expand our electrical needs that we have within the building right now. We're limited by the supply of power or the distribution of that power within this building right now. We have a lot of projects we need to add to. We have existing servers right now that don't have adequate power supply. We have enough power coming into the building. It's just the distribution of, as well as the air conditioning systems that try to cool these mainframes, if you will. They get to a certain temperature, above a certain temperature, they just shut down. So as time has gone on, at least in the last 6-7 years, having these servers shut down is detrimental not only to the main office but to the campuses that rely upon this network to keep operational and running 24/7.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
May I address Mr. Fisher or Superintendent?
Yes, sir.
Looking at the, I attempted to look at the schematics, and I couldn't really read them, but correct me, are we intending to make a UPS service throughout the building, uninterrupted power supply?
We currently have some now, yes, sir. That's what we're relying upon.
I noticed we had that on every floor quite extensively.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in other words, you're going to have what, some sort of battery backup?
Correct.
For everyone's computer?
Not necessarily the computers, sir. These are all just for servers. These are not for individual workstations.
Okay, because there were a lot of them.
And it's not necessarily just for servers as well. I have to, I guess, retract that statement. It's for the core servers that we have as well as the network. Cisco, we have 100% Cisco network that we rely upon here at the core to get not only the data, video, phone systems out to the campuses.
Okay, and the genesis of the project, is this your suggestion that we do this?
Yes, sir. Not necessarily suggesting, it's a necessity, sir.
Well, I don't know how long the building's been here.
85?
I don't.
What the sign says.
Nothing's changed.
Well,
I don't doubt that everything that we're proposing, it doesn't have a value. I just wanted to know how we'd managed to get along without it until now.
If I may.
Dr. Zolkowski, are there any other bidders on this, or is this the only bidder? We're asked to approve ACR Engineering. Did this go out for competitive bidding?
Gonzalez?
Dr. Zolkowski, Mr. Lehman, members of the board, Mr. Munoz, that's our annual person that we have on as an RFQ for engineering services of this type. Every year we go for one, and this is the one. When we bid it out again, you'll select another one.
This is the price.
No, we selected the person, and then we go and negotiate the price. Price was pretty good.
So if this is considered a small
Project.
project, so in other words, we pick a plumber, electrical, and
It's our annual
we
bid,
can say, give us a price on this,
Yes.
just like job order contracting, so.
basically for the year.
For engineering.
Yes. Then they resubmit every year. We're doing an annual.
I see what you're saying. All right, thank you.
If I may, sir, I want to add to this conversation the fact that when this building was built, it wasn't really built for the situation that we're in right now. It was mainly for typewriters, and it was spec'd out as such at that time.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, sir.
Additional comments? There's a motion, a second to approve item 24. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Roman numeral 10, closed meeting as pursuant to the Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.082, and 551.084. Board convenes or moves into closed meeting. Convenes after closed meeting. We now take item 22 under E, recommend approval of the following RFP proposals. Recommend approval to award RFP number 6-098 to American Contracting USA Incorporated, Combs, Texas, for construction services for the Hanna High School in the amount not to exceed $750,000. Project to be done, subject to the district's needs and funding.
Move.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, those against? Same sign, aye. Motion fails. 4 to 3. Okay, move on to closed meeting number. Let's get another price. Roman numeral 10. Item 32, recommend approval of probationary contractual personnel for the 2005-2006 and the 2006-2007 school year. Teachers subject to receipts of all outstanding documentation. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Motion and a second to approve item 32. All those in favor signify by raising hands, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimous. Oops, ran out of space. Under litigation attorney, nothing, right, Counselor? Okay, move on to C, real property. 34, discussion of possible acquisition of sales of real property. We'll take A, recommend approval to purchase 15.49 acres more or less out of a 81.213 acre tract of land more or less in the unsubdivided portion of Share 28 of the Espiritu Santo Grant, Cameron County, Texas, being a part of Tract D as designated on the tax rolls of Cameron County, said 81.213 acre tract being a part of the certain 93.65 acre tract conveyed by Jode Inman and wife Marlene Inman to J.B. Coulter and B.B. Phillips by warranty deed dated February 15th, 1957, recorded in volume 631, page 358, E.T. SEQ. What is that, Counselor? SEQ, what does that stand for?
Actually, it should be and others.
And others? Should be like et tux or what? Exec? Okay. Et sec. Can I say that? Okay, that's Latin, I guess. Of the deed records of Cameron County, Texas, purchase to be made from Palmyra Properties LP, seller contingent on an environmental study satisfactory to BISD and contingent upon seller warranting good title to the property. Is there a motion to approve such purchase?
I move to approve.
There's a motion and need a second. Second, there's a motion, a second to approve the purchase of A. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion. All those against? Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1 against, and I will be abstaining. Motion passes. The purchase passes. B, recommend approval to purchase 80 acres of land, more or less, out of a 3,030.24 acre tract, volume 941, page 29, deed records in shares 1 and 17 of the Espiritu Santo grant in Cameron County, Texas, and being out of tracts 6A, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 described in quitclaim deed from Valley International Properties Incorporated to Rio Bravo Properties dated March 1st, 1978, and recorded in volume 1117, page 324 of the Cameron County Deed Records, purchase to be made from Amita Development Company Incorporated seller, contingent on an environmental study satisfactory to BISD, and contingent upon sellers warranting good title to the property. There's a motion to approve such property. Okay,
Second.
there's a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the property of B. All those in favor signify by saying yes or raising your hand.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4. All those against? 1, and I'll be abstaining. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 1 against, and 1 abstention. Pat Lehman will abstain. Motion carries. Move on to announcements. Number 35, next scheduled board meeting on the Board of Trustees is on Tuesday, May 2nd, 2006, at the Administration Building at 5:30 p.m. Any other comments, Doctor? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
There is a motion to adjourn. There's there a second? Second. Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Good night.